Welcome to the Near Memo, a weekly conversation about search, social, and commerce. What happened, why it matters, and the implications for local. Welcome back, everybody, to the Near Memo with David, Mike, and Greg, where each week we bring you 3 items or more sometimes that pertain to the world of search, social, and commerce with a kind of local flavor. And as always, there's a ton of stuff to talk about that we draw from headlines and from our newsletter and from more in-depth pieces on the website. And today we're going to be talking about a kind of a range of disparate things, not talking about Netflix, which is kind of interesting.
And CNN Plus.
And CNN, yeah, right. And CNN. So that's a wacky, like they gave it a month and they're killing it. That's a kind of a wacky thing, but I guess they had high expectations. They were radically disappointed. But we're going to start off today with Mike talking about the extension of Prime shipping and other associated functions to non-Amazon merchants.
So it does require that. So it's called Buy with Prime. It caught my eye. I think it's really an interesting move by them. Simple JavaScript onto a merchant website allows that merchant to offer all of the benefits of Prime-like service. It actually is, fast shipping from Amazon warehouses, free shipping, all the things that Amazon is known for. Obviously, easy returns and all the other stuff. And it was just a fascinating push from Amazon of both their logistics, their payment, their brand, their customer relations, reputation out to the rest of the e-commerce world. And in the article, I just thought it fascinating that they noted specifically that retailers will receive shopper order information and email addresses for customer orders, both sort of as if that's a benefit. I mean, obviously they have those things now. I think the flip side of that is that Amazon is now going to be seeing the email address and customer information for orders they weren't previously seeing. So there's certainly a double-edged sword there. The article pointed out that this positions them very forcefully vis-a-vis Shopify, who has been attempting to create a delivery network, not particularly successfully. And from what you said and what I've seen, Shopify's trying to buy this company called Deliver to offer some sort of logistics to their clients.
Two-day shipping.
Two-day shipping. And it's just a fascinating move given how it's very ostentatious in some ways. It certainly is one that will raise the eyebrows of antitrust regulators because it pushes Amazon further into the e-commerce ecosystem and also the local ecosystem. I wonder how much, I wonder what type of retailers would agree to do it, and then how much it's going to impact Shopify. But also, it's interesting to me because it really impacts, to me, in my mind, UPS and FedEx, because it intervenes into the order process in a way that excludes them from ever possibly delivering orders that they're currently delivering. So I think the big impact is also going to be there. So I'm just curious, like, what retailer would agree to do this? Why? And then what's going to happen to Shopify in this? And
yeah, there are
what does it mean for UPS?
A lot of fascinating dimensions to this. I mean, I read a statistic that said 60% of the sales on Amazon now are from third-party sellers, and this, in one sense, is an extension of that outreach to third parties. They're moving from Amazon sort of only inventory to what we have today, which is a marketplace, and then they're extending that reach into the entirety of the e-commerce web, hypothetically.
It's very capital non-intensive for Amazon, right? And very margin rich.
Except for the logistics piece of it. I don't know what the cost implications are there, but I mean, if it's wildly successful, then they've got more trucks and more people running around delivering stuff on behalf of others. I would guess that major retailers are not going to bite at this because they want to have more control. I was talking to somebody from Sephora the other day about Google, real-time inventory on Google, and she was telling me, this was all just very informal. She was telling me, no, we don't participate in that. We're not involved in that, because there's, I think, an inherent suspicion of these big platforms by major retailers, especially around data. Who owns the data? What kind of data are they seeing? Can they use it to compete against me? Smaller retailers, the ones that don't have the capacity to meet consumer demands for 2-day shipping, are the ones I think that are likely to do this. Or medium, sort of medium and small. Maybe not the true mom and pops, but medium and small. That would be my instinct.
It
I would
seems like
agree
a
that,
huge pound of flesh, so it's not going to be
yeah,
cheap, is it?
but if you're sort of, if you're a nascent e-commerce brand, I think you're probably more eager to drive growth, and anything that would help increase conversion during the checkout process would probably be worth the trade-off at an earlier stage or smaller stage company. So Greg, I agree. I think that feels like the most natural uptakers of this offering. The flip side of that is, if you are a major brand and you already have a store on Amazon, I mean, I'm not embedded deeply in any major e-commerce client, but I'd be curious to know what percentage of someone like Sephora, I don't know if Sephora has an
I
Amazon
don't
store,
either.
but like what percentage of their sales are already coming through their Amazon, sort of channel. And if it's already a substantial percentage, I mean, are you really losing that much by increasing conversion on the remaining 20 or 30% of your customers? So I don't know. I think it's a really interesting offering.
Yeah.
I think it should raise all kinds of antitrust red flags, but smaller merchants are probably more likely to take advantage than larger ones.
So Sephora is in fact on Amazon, and I think that's
Okay.
I think that's a very good point. If you're already invested in Amazon, does this really matter? I mean, I think there's data that show consumers have been conditioned now to expect fast shipping. That's one of the number one or number two
Yeah.
things that they want from e-commerce, and a lot of merchants just can't deliver it. There are a couple of companies at least dedicated to duplicating Prime-like shipping speeds in the off Amazon, and those guys are.
Yeah. I mean, I would say fast and free. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a huge, if I have a $100 apparel order from some local merchant and shipping ends up being $18, like that adds a substantial amount to my overall cart. And it makes me, think twice about ordering an item that really, theoretically I could get a similar item from Amazon with free shipping. So, so if the free part is part of this offering, I think it amps up the increase in conversion that you might get from this as an independent brand.
Well,
So,
it's
According to the article I read, it is
mhm.
part of the offering.
so for but so do you have to be a Prime? Do you have to be a Prime member as a consumer to get the to use it, or is this just available to anybody who's buying on these third-party sites?
That's a good question. I
Oh,
don't
I
know.
assumed you have to be a Prime customer already. That
Right.
you'd have to OAuth through Amazon to
Probably
tell the merchant
right, probably
that
so.
I'm eligible for this offer. Yeah.
Probably so. In which case, that becomes another recruiting tool for more. I mean, Amazon's got like some massive number of U.S. households now in Prime,
Mhm.
but it's not 100%. So this extends the reach
And
of that.
they have to convince you, Greg, to pay the increase in membership dues this year. So
I paid it because I'm lazy and I
you
just
did
let
pay.
my credit
Okay.
card get charged. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
but the question is, are you going to let your Netflix subscription go?
no. We'll talk about Netflix another time and ads, but I think it is an antitrust issue. I mean, although it's not manifested, right? It's not like they're buying a big competitor who's now going to take competition out of the market. This is a very different kind of situation.
Typically, it does benefit consumers. I mean, the
Right,
free shipping is a huge consumer benefit.
right.
So
And it's what consumers repeatedly say they want. And so this kind of old antitrust lens, which is it going to increase prices? Is it going to harm consumers? Really doesn't apply, at least in the near term here. Now, in the long term, it might, if you're diminishing different kinds of options and making everybody totally dependent on Amazon. But
Well, I think it was in the Washington D.C. Attorney General's case. They claimed that that Amazon controlled pricing. They prevented resellers from having a lower price anyplace else,
yeah,
and it included free shipping. So it effectively did drive consumer prices up
right.
because they controlled both sides of that
Yeah,
equation. So there is an
yeah, that goes
argument
to pricing.
on the table that goes to pricing.
Thanks for joining David, Mike, and Greg. To stay on top of the latest developments in local, subscribe to our newsletter at nearmedia.co. We'll see you next week.